Why did Jimin come alone to the hybe building that night? What really happened before the tearful meeting with Jungkook? Why is the back door used? Who watched the emotional pickup silently from behind the glass?
Done?
What's with the hybe staff's frantic-looking expression? Surprising facts one by one are starting to come to light, and maybe this is the beginning of a big change in BTS's history. It was a quiet night. Too quiet. Even for an elite area like Yongsan, where hybe's sturdy buildings were usually surrounded by the busyness and carefree voices of the trainees, the night felt like it was engulfed in darkness that held the breath of anyone who saw it.
No camera highlights.
There was no official announcement. Jimin is here, alone. With a quick but cautious step, his face was covered in a black mask and a dark hoodie that drowned out most of his identity. But still, there is something that cannot be hidden: his eyes. His eyes looked vibrating. It's like holding something too big to bear alone. Why did he come without a manager? Why isn't hybe's official staff accompanying him? And why did Jimin, of all people, choose to walk through the back door, a path that even artists barely use? The question had not yet been answered when a black van without hybe's license plate arrived exactly 15 minutes after Jimin entered the building. The silence of the night was broken instantly by the sound of the van door opening, slowly, but creating an invisible echo that penetrated into the hearts of every army that was now trying to piece together this mystery. From inside the van, the figure that had been waiting for appeared. A figure that has recently been so difficult to reach, as if disappeared from the public radar: Jungkook. But not only its appearance is surprising. It wasn't just that he came without any official bodyguards. Not only because the hair is a little longer and tangled than usual, but because of his face, that looked like someone who had just woken up from a long nightmare. Did I ask this really an ordinary meeting? Or is there something much deeper, darker, and more emotional going on behind the glass walls of hybe's office? The meeting was not as many people imagined. No warm hugs as usual. There was no big smile or laughter from Jimin. There are no spoiled gestures that Jungkook usually automatically appears when he sees Hyung. There's just a long gaze. Shut up. And the tension it felt hung in the air, enough to make anyone who saw it feel claustrophobic. Jimin took a deep breath. Jungkook opened his mouth, as if about to say something, but only cold air came out of his lips. Then, tears fell from Jimin's eyes. Just when the door to the room is closed from the inside. What exactly is going on? Why does Jungkook's expression look so hurt? Is this related to hybe's internal rumors that were leaked last week, that there was a secret meeting between agency officials and one of BTS's members that has not been officially announced? News of a potential vision split within hybe's internals began to surface. Many have asked, is it true that some BTS members are starting to feel pressure from management about the future direction of their group? Or is it all to do with a big comeback plan, which from the beginning felt too fast, too forced? But all that speculation collapsed when one of the unnamed staffers anonymously mentioned that before Jimin and Jungkook met that night, there was an emotional conversation in the director's room that involved a high-pitched, angry tone, and someone crying in the hallway. Who's crying? Is that Jimin? Or could it be Jungkook? One of the most disturbing details came from a sound engineer who accidentally recorded a thin laugh that led to a scream. "You don't understand. I just want him to be okay," said a male voice, which, although it could not be confirmed, was believed by many to be Jungkook's voice. The big question arises. Who is he? What is Jimin? Or someone else? In the midst of all this mystery, one question arises that really gives goosebumps. Is hybe hiding something much bigger than we know? And more importantly, are Jimin and Jungkook actually trying to fix something? Or are you just getting ready to say goodbye? Because that night, after 2 hours locked in a room together, Jimin came out first. His eyes are puffy. His steps trembled. And the most painful? He didn't look back. Not once. Jungkook came out 5 minutes later. His head bowed, hands clenched in his hoodie pockets, and for the first time, there was no staff to accompany him. One of the soldiers who accidentally watched the moment from across the street road. That's not the look of a person who just finished meeting friends. It's like someone just lost something. So, what exactly happened on that mysterious night? Why is there not a single official statement from hybe? Is there a secret agreement that not all members agree to? Is this all to do with comeback pressure? With mental health? Or is there anything personal between Jimin and Jungkook that is not known to the public? Clearly, one thing is now certain. The ARMY can no longer turn a blind eye. Because when the two closest hearts in BTS start to drift apart, it's not just the music that is threatened with losing harmony, but this whole world of fandom can falter. And if that night really became the beginning of something, is it the beginning of healing or the beginning of a breakup that no one is ready to face? But the story is not over. Because it was exactly 2:17 in the morning, surveillance cameras from the department store opposite the hybe building recorded an incident that can only be explained as a moment full of symbols and silent messages. Jungkook, who had already left the building, returned again. Alone, without a car, without control, with the same hoodie, but now his head is no longer covered. He stood in front of the entrance for almost 8 minutes. Not talking to anyone. It just stands, looking up at the building, as if he was thinking about hundreds of things that were jostling in his head. And when the night wind began to blow stronger, he raised his head, closed his eyes, and smiled faintly. But the smile was not a smile of relief. It was someone's resigned smile. Is this a form of regret? Does he wish he could say something that hasn't been said yet? Or is this his way of saying goodbye? The most touching is when one car approaches slowly. Not hybe's car, not an official van, but an old silver sedan stopped right in front of Jungkook. The glass is lowered. From the inside looks a figure. Park Jimin. Jimin is back, but this time not to the building, not to the discussion room or intense meeting, but to Jungkook, ARMY, who watched the video, which was then spread across several closed groups, called the moment the emotional culmination of a night full of mystery. Because when Jungkook saw Jimin from the car, he looked down, opened the door, and without a word, sit next to him. The car then drove slowly, leaving the hybe building, and brought two hearts that had been referred to as one soul in two bodies, to a place unknown to anyone until now. Does that mean they are finally at peace? Or is it a cover for all the wounds that have been left open for too long? These questions are now flooding online spaces, closed forums, and even electronic mail from the ARMY that feels mixed up. Some are crying, some feel relieved, but some harbor a deeper fear. The fear that this is all part of something bigger. Something that might hurt. hybe, as of this second, has not issued an official statement. There is no clarification.
No explanación.
Only silence. And precisely because of this, every second without explanation becomes an empty space filled with unstoppable speculation. Some say that the evening meeting was related to major changes in the internal affairs of the agency. Some believe this is all just preparation for a surprise comeback. But if it's true, it's just normal preparation. Why be in the dark? Why with tears? One insider said that a few days earlier, Jimin had asked for a special time to talk to hybe's creative director privately. Not in the office, but in an old studio that BTS used to use at the beginning of their career. He wanted to show something, the source said. It's not a demo song, but something more personal. Something's about Jungkook. Did Jimin convey his feelings that had been hidden? Does he fight for decisions that the agency does not approve of? Or do you want to save something that is almost lost? One thing that became an additional mystery was when some ARMY found out that over the past week, Jimin stopped following one of hybe's official accounts that he had regularly reposted. In fact, for years, Jimin has never played smooth like that on social media. Is this a sign of an internal conflict that can no longer be hidden? Even more shocking, one fan who works as a freelance staffer at hybe anonymously stated that there was a draft of an official email about a special announcement that was briefly drafted, but pulled back exactly 1 hour before it was sent. The draft was given the working title, Bridge Before Storm, or Bridge Before the Storm. Does this mean hybe is preparing to announce something that will shake the fabric of BTS's fandom? There is also a theory that the emotional meeting that night was the turning point of negotiations between BTS members and executives regarding BTS's future musical direction and concept. Some voices said that Jungkook wanted to explore a different genre and style. darker, more raw, and not fully controlled by the market formula. Meanwhile, Jimin tries to mediate. He wants to keep BTS's original colors, but also wants to support his best friend's freedom. But the pressure from many directions made everything explode in silence. Mainly because of the incontrovertible, to heal, not to hide. Those words still remain, deeper than any wound the army has ever felt. But who really wants to heal, and who still chooses to hide? That morning, as HYB's office began to get crowded again, no one expected that the events of the previous night would stir up a wave of excitement in their own internal. Some of the young staff looked agitated, some looked nervous. There were whispers about the CCTV being suddenly broken for 8 minutes as Jungkook stood in front of the door. But why just those 8 minutes? And more importantly, why is the footage from the opposite store so undeniable? When news of the silver car carrying Jimin and Jungkook went viral among fans, some people in HYB hurriedly removed the location metadata from the posts that had already appeared in the closed discussion group. They're scared, but not afraid of the army. They are afraid of what is already out of control. Sources said that night, after they left, the 11th floor room, which is usually used for strategy meetings, was suddenly closed. But not because it's empty. Quite the opposite. The lights in it were on until the morning, and it was there that Park Ji-won, CEO of HYB, allegedly called several division heads to rework the narrative of public communications to be given to the media. However, as usual, they forgot one important thing. The army is not the media. They are more sensitive, more care, and they cannot be lied to. WY late afternoon. The hashtag where are they now is trending in 17 countries. Even the Korean media, which usually keeps its distance from internal gossip, began to slip ambiguous sentences such as secret meeting between the two biggest idols and reconciliation or separation. But behind it all, one thing became even more striking. Why did Jimin suddenly return that night after so many days of disappearance? The answer is surprising. Because according to a longtime BTS choreographer who has been out of HYB since 2 years ago, Jimin had contacted him personally the night before the meeting. Not for training, but to ask for one thing. Old songs, not an unreleased song. It's an old song. A rough demo tape they used to make in a small rehearsal room. Years ago, when everything was simple, the song was never released to the public. Even the other BTS members may have forgotten. But not Jimin. Because according to the choreographer, the song was composed by Jungkook, and the first lyrics were written by Jimin himself. The cut of the lyrics reads, "If you are lost in the dark, I will follow without a sound. Not because I'm brave, but because I'm afraid of losing my way without you." ARMY, who heard this piece from the source of the leak, immediately shivered, because the piece fits perfectly into the atmosphere of the evening of their meeting. But more than that, it's a form of recognition. Not from the stage, but from a past that's never really gone away. Now speculation is growing fast. Is Jimin using the song as a form of code to call Jungkook out of the silence? Are they secretly communicating through hidden messages that can only be understood by each other? But just in the midst of the warmth of hope, one surprise came. Jimin's official Weverse account suddenly deleted 3 important posts, including his last post, which mentioned the sentence, "I'm healing slowly, please wait for me." Why removed? Is it a form of intervention? Or did Jimin change his mind? Not quite there. A physical letter was sent by fans to HYB and circulated widely after being received by a security guard who accidentally photographed the contents of the envelope. The contents are surprising. If you dare to separate them again for numbers and targets, you will lose more than just business. You will lose our trust. Of those who are invisible but always there. The signature under it is only one letter, A. Is it the army or someone from inside? But before the public had time to find the answer, a new furor broke out. New video from CCTV of a restaurant in Mapo district shows Jimin and Jungkook sitting together, wearing masks and dark hoodies, talking quietly while staring into each other's eyes. The video lasted only 42 seconds before the two became aware of the presence of the camera. But in those 42 seconds, one moment caught clear. Jungkook touched Jimin's hand, grasped it, then nodded slowly, an "oh" sound. But their expressions say everything. And at the end of the video, As they stood up and left, Jimin had time to turn to the camera. His